Love it. All right. Hello, Paul. Tell people about the plot of your interactive movie, Hello Stranger, and what the experience is like.
So yeah, Hello Stranger. It's an interactive film, which is sort of it's a horror thriller with survival elements in it about a character who conducts most of his life from the comfort of his own home, as many people do nowadays. He works, he socializes, he shops, he works out, he has his food delivered to him, so he never needs to leave the confines of his smart home. And he socializes using a video chatting app called Hello Stranger, and eventually he ends up talking to the wrong person on Hello Stranger, who is a masked stranger who hacks into his smart home, locks him in, and says he has to play 3 rounds of games. And if he wins all those games, or you, the viewer slash player, win those games while you're making the decisions for the character, you will survive. But if you lose any of the games, you're gonna die. So yeah, that's what the experience is like in the sense of it is a survival horror film in that sense. But the twist is that the agency of making the choices for the character to survive is in the hands of the viewer.
That sounds like fun. And have you made one of these before, interactive movies before?
Yeah, I've made quite a few. It's sort of the niche I've found myself in as a creative since 2019. So it's a format I'm very passionate about, and I feel like it's such an interesting cross section between film and game, which are two mediums very close to my heart. So, just been a great journey trying to explore the different ways that these the different genres that you can do within this format, whether that be horror, thriller, rom-coms I've done. So yeah, it's definitely not my first, and hopefully it won't definitely won't be my last. So yeah.
Yeah, when you do the VR set, I always tell people, having a video game background is going to help you because
Mm.
you might get a little nauseous otherwise.
Yeah. Well, we don't use VR headsets. Ours are more in the sense of like what Bandersnatch was on Netflix, in the sense that the audience is making the choices. I mean, I definitely VR is something that I've been tempted to try and integrate with this style of storytelling as well, and definitely at some point I probably will do to give even more agency to the viewer. But yeah, no, it's the possibilities are endless for sure.
All right, good stuff. And on a scale from 1 to 10, how menacing is this antagonist?
Oh, extremely menacing. It's the full playbook, man. It's voice filter. It's covered from head to toe, so there's no discernible features, human features present. And they've got complete control of your home. Like, what could be more menacing than that? So, oh yeah, I would say a good 11.
Oh my goodness. All right. How what was the nucleus for this film? How did you conceive it?
That's a really good question. I mean, I think ultimately, as I said, I've been really wanting to try and explore the different genres and subgenres that can be integrated into the interactive format. And I'd already previously done some. I'd done sci-fi thriller. I'd done hostage thriller, and this, while it has elements of a hostage thriller, I wanted to do something that was more of a dark tech driven thriller, which I think is quite a popular subgenre at the moment when you think of rogue AI, and a lot of it's that kind of tone of like lots of Black Mirrory slash what's a great example of a film that you think of Megan, or you think of loads of other sort of like horror films that are coming out at the moment which have rogue AI as a great. I felt like that was something I really wanted to one explore on a creative level, but integrate into the interactive format as well.
Nice. And what are typical hours you put in on a writing day?
Oh man. Well, it depends. I mean, I like to. I'm quite a morning person, so I like to wake up early, and start early, and then I never. I mean, if I'm going really hell for leather, but I never ever work past 8. So if I'm working a full day, I would go 8 till 8, so 12-hour day. I try and never work that late, but usually I try and keep it down to sort of like 9, 10 hours, if I can. So that's kind of what it look. That's like time frame that I do. But yeah, with these, because obviously you have to write so much more than a traditional linear script. There's a lot more, you want to get more pages done in a day, as well as there's the element of the writing. You also have to make a flow chart of the decision branches before you write the script. So that it's a bit more involved. There's a bit more steps that you have to do and a bit more work that needs to be done. But I try not to go too crazy with the hours. I try to be productive. It's quality over quantity, I think.
Very nice. And how do the actors feel seeing themselves in this interactive experience afterwards?
Yeah, I mean, I think that what I've found with actors and what they love about interactive films is that there's especially the person playing the protagonist who is the one making the choices. There's something quite liberating about being able to explore different the different facets of a character's personality that they can approach one scenario. Whereas, during a linear film, they can explore, the different emotions or different approaches that a character could do to a given scenario in the rehearsal process, but ultimately they have to land on one decision, or the editor will land on one decision for them. So they find it quite freeing that they can actually, explore different choices that the character can make and different emotions that can be evoked, and they will end up in the film. So definitely for the protagonist, they find it quite freeing to be able to explore the range of emotions and the range of who the character could be depending on the choices that they make. And then the other actors just, they're all kind of seeing, am I going to be in the film or am I going to die in this film? What's going to happen? They don't know what their ultimate fate is going to be depending on the choices that the player makes. I think there's something quite exciting and unpredictable, beyond just sort of them seeing it and wondering, oh, I wonder how the edit went. I wonder, what the film that we shot like a year ago looks like. There's also the element of, oh my God, are we going to be in the film? Are we going to what's our character going to do? So yeah, I think that it's a unique, novel experience for actors watching themselves in an interactive film.
I believe it. Was there an MVP in your crew?
I mean, we had a really small crew on this. I think like we were on any given day, but the max people we would have on set would be like 15 or 16. It was a really small, tight-knit, contained thing, which was a real gift. You like it was really stripped down, so everybody was like, really involved, and everybody there was a real family feel to it in that sense because it was just, and everyone had worked together before as well. So I would say I have to cop out and say everybody was the MVP because such a small, tight-knit crew. Everybody played their parts, both in front and behind the camera.
Okay. What do you believe is the scariest film of all time?
Oh man. Oh, there was a film I watched when I was a kid, and it's an old film. It's from like the 70s or 80s called The Changeling. I
Oh,
don't,
great
do
one.
you, do you remember that? Yeah, that I feel like that whenever this question comes up, that's always one that comes up. Like it has one of the most terrifying seance scenes that I've seen in cinema. And when you watch something as a kid, it always will, it usually will shake you up on a bit more of a profound level. I mean, something, obviously, even films can do that as an adult, but I think I would say The Changeling. I can't remember what exact year it came out, but
I believe it
I'm
was
gonna go for that one.
1980.
1980. Okay,
Yeah,
yeah. So I'm gonna go for that one.
that's a good one. And I think what works about it is sort of it's a character piece,
Absolutely.
and it is very broody, and you
Yeah.
are invested in him and his struggle and what he's been through. So
Yeah.
when you get to the big seances, we kind
Yeah.
of care a little bit more.
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. No, and I think I seem to always remember the use of sound in it. It was very much a less is more kind of thing, and the use of sound and creaks and the wheelchair plays such a big part of it. That's sort of kind of terrifying as well, which I've never sort of seen before. It's a big part in the poster and everything. So it's a really unique film. So I'd encourage people to go and watch it if they can.
How is Hello Stranger similar to The Changeling?
Oh, that's a tricky question. Well, I mean, I guess, sound is always a big part for me, a big part for me. I mean, sound is something that we use it's used in a completely different way in Hello Stranger because there's an artifice to all the sounds, whereas in a more traditional horror film like The Changeling, sound is used more organically, through the natural sounds of a house or natural objects. Whereas, everything in this house that the protagonist lives in is artificial. And, the AI, the Alexa style voice assistant that he has, there are beeps and buzzes and drones and stuff all going around that are from within the house, that these artificial sounds that become things that, at the beginning of the film are signs of convenience and modernity. Whereas once the stakes change, they become ominous and signs of danger. So that's what I guess, if I could hone in on something that is a similarity, would be that.
Right. Which directors working right now are inspiring you?
It's a really good question. I mean, actually, I'm really a big fan of what Steven Soderbergh is doing at the moment, as well as Osgood Perkins, in the sense of their productivity and the prolific nature in which they're actually making films at the moment. And because I think in the world we're in, and being someone who sort of straddles the indie film and indie game world, seeing the world that we live in now, that that people are like, that there's more productivity and they're getting more stuff out there at a quicker rate, telling really, really, really terse focused stories. And in Osgood Perk, I think he's going to have 3 films out in the space of a year. He's going to have Longlegs, The Monkey, and he's got another one coming at the end of the year. And Soderbergh just had Presence, and now he's had Black Bag, which has done really well. It's really admirable for me that that directors at the top of the industry, or at least at the top of the indie spectrum of the industry, that you would say, are making great films at that such efficiency and economy. It's quite inspiring to see, and I think just more films quicker is only a good thing nowadays. So yeah, I would say those two for that reason.
All right, and I'm going to give you the same one-two punch for video games. What do you think is the scariest video game of all time? And what
Oh
are
man.
some ones out right now that you're currently really enjoying?
Again, I mean, I'd have to go back to my younger days to sort of say that when like I really got shook up by video games. There was an X-Files game when I was really young that was terrifying. And then there was also Silent Hill. That those are your kind of go-tos that especially when you're playing them as a young kid. The way the style of cinematography that they used in those with the fixed cameras and perspectives that meant jump scares were they really fed into facilitating really good jump scares, and they were kind of innovative for that period. So those would be 2 kind of horror films that stick out to me that I played when I was younger that really really shook me up. And then at the moment, recently I haven't played a horror game really. I mean, there's some really good ones out there. There's one that just the trailer of which released, where it's motion censored and they take control of your webcam, so that you have to hide whenever the monster comes around when you're hiding
Ah,
from. So yeah, I have to get back on some like really really good horror games nowadays. But yeah, those 2 would be the ones from my youth that stick out for me for sure.
all right, great. And where is this interactive film Hello Stranger premiering?
So it's premiering next Thursday at the Genesis Cinema in East London at 7 p.m. It's going
On
to be
the
a cinema
10th.
screening on the 10th. Yes, yeah.
Okay.
So it's going to be, and it'll be an in-cinema screening where we give the audience glow sticks, and whenever they come in and whenever there's a choice that needs to be made, the audience votes with glow sticks. So we've done that. That's what we did with my previous interactive film, The Gallery. We had a limited cinema release. So that's another initiative that I really feel the interactive film serves, that you can have this participative experience. And then in May we're going to release on Steam, on the Steam gaming platform as well. So yeah, that's kind of the outlook for the release of Hello Stranger.
That's amazing. Have you attended Fright Fest?
Fright Fest, yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I went to the last time I had a film at Fright Fest 2018, the film called White Chamber. It's one of my favorite festivals. It was, I love the team and the audiences that you get there, and it being in my hometown of London, so to speak, it's quite something. So yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of Fright Fest as a festival.
Amazing. All right. Well, Paul, thank you so much for your time today. One more question. What's the
Yeah.
best thing about Hello Stranger?
I think the challenge, which is something that And when I say challenge, to say that about a film, usually you would say that it's challenging in the sense of the subject matter,
Yeah.
or but I'd say it's challenging because the audience, as you as a player, have to play these games, and some of the games are actually quite tricky, and you will die if you make the if you fail the games. So I like to say, which is kind of a cool thing to say about a film, which you don't often get to say. I think it's a challenge because it's actually hard to make it to the end of the film, but not for the reasons that traditionally you say a film is challenging. So I'm going to say I think the challenge of it is the best thing about
All right. Well, welcome to 2025, everybody. Thank you so much for your
it.
time.